Good morning. January 1st, 2025. My name is Glenn Ramsey. Happy New Year to everyone out there. I've been sitting here trying to think of how to do something more. I work a very good job. I make over 70 G's a year. But at the same time, I just feel like that's not it. I was on television this morning looking at a YouTube content creator by the name of Dante London. It was just inspiring. At the same time, I was having a conversation with a couple of my team members at work. I'm a supervisor over at an outpatient lab here in town, and it's a very challenging job, and it's very inspiring to be working that job. So I was just trying to figure out, we were having a conversation talking about possibly doing a YouTube channel. We were joking about doing vlogs and things like that. It's something that I'd always been interested in doing, but I really never really got around to it. So I was sitting here, I was listening to this gentleman on YouTube for maybe the last couple of hours this morning, and he was basically talking about how simple it is now to just get on YouTube and just do raw video without editing, without doing any of those other things. And now he's at that point where he's reaping his rewards. I've always wanted to do content, but I've never really been sure about what it is that I wanted to do. So he just sort of gave me the idea of just recording my life at work, a day in the life of what I do at work. So a lot of my titles will probably center around a day in the life, something that I'll be doing. And so what I want you guys to do is just follow my YouTube journey and see where we go. Because I've been working at Jersey Shore University Medical Center here in Neptune, New Jersey. This is year number 40. Love the opportunities that I've had there. Love the growth, the ascension from my early days. I started in housekeeping right out of high school. I was planning on going to Bloomfield College, and back in 1984, but my mom passed away, so I wound up staying home and helping take care of my younger siblings with one of my older sisters. And so she came back home, and we did that. Left home in 1988. Started working at the hospital in 1984, working in housekeeping. Stayed in housekeeping for a while. In one of my situations, I was cleaning up in the lab, and I ran into one of the laboratory supervisors. His name is Nicholas Scarangella. Well, he's the late Nicholas Scarangella. Now he passed away a few years ago. Rest in peace. And he once told me, he said, I mean, we'd gotten a rapport. We would talk just about every night when I'm up there. He said, do you have any aspirations of things that you want to do with the rest of your life? He was like, well, I really hadn't thought about it, because I was 18, 19, 20, happy doing what I'm doing. I'm working in the hospital, making decent money. But back then, it's probably like $10, $11 an hour, because when I started in housekeeping, I was only making like $5 and some change an hour back in 1984. It was really nothing. So he says, have you ever done phlebotomy? I said, what is phlebotomy? So he explained to me what phlebotomy was, and it entailed venipuncture or drawing blood from patients or from people. I said, it sounds interesting. So he says, I tell you what, if you go back to school and get your certificate, I'll get you a job. Now, this was in 1987, I want to say. So back then, I enrolled at Union Technical Institute, which was here in Neptune Township, here in Neptune, New Jersey. It's defunct now. Went there for about 7, 8, 9 months. And I wound up in a class with my cousin, Crystal. Shout out to Crystal. She was always my guinea pig. I was always her guinea pig in class. So anyway, we went on to school. Graduated January of 1988, I want to say. January 1988, I want to say. So once I got my certificate of completion, I brought that certificate of completion back to Nick, and he offered me a phlebotomy job later on that year. So in August of 1988, I started up in the lab as a phlebotomist. I did that job for 5 years. I'd say about 5 years. Excuse me. So after doing that job, got really, really good at it. I had some great teachers along the way. And in my 5th year of doing that job, I had a gentleman constantly harassing me from an HIV clinic that was also on the campus at the time called the A-Team. Like the movie, like the TV show A-Team with Mr. T. That's what the name of it was. A-Team Clinic. His name was Ben Cinerino, another gentleman who passed away a few years ago, rest in peace. He harassed me for months, asking me if I wanted to come over and work for them as a phlebotomist because they were looking for one. And during this time, HIV/AIDS was rampant, and a lot of my patients that I would see up on the floors to draw were HIV/AIDS patients who, during that time, a lot of them were intravenous drug users. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of them, but a chunk of them were intravenous drug users and very difficult to get. So they apparently would go back over to that clinic and tell the people there how proficient I was in getting blood from them, who were very difficult. So after hearing that, I guess he was sent over to try to recruit me, because at the A-Team, what I found out was they recruited, handpicked people who they wanted. Now the A-Team is an AIDS facility, HIV care and treatment facility that was pretty prominent during that time in this area. And they recruited all of the best, really, during that time, because we really had an awesome team when I worked over there. So he kept coming to the lab. Ben kept coming to the lab harassing me. You need to come over. You need to come over. So after a few months, I finally went over and I saw what they did, because during that time, there was a huge stigma with HIV and AIDS, and people didn't want to touch them. People didn't want to be in the same space with them. But when I walked through that door, it kind of sort of changed my life in the trajectory and the direction that I wanted to go. To watch one of the nurses, to this day, Marianne Corrigan is her name. I haven't seen her in a couple of years. She was caring for an AIDS patient named William. I won't say his last name. And he was really sick, and she was touching him. She had her gloves on, but she was touching him. She was showing empathy, and he just walked me through the whole facility. They had social social services. They had all these other wonderful things. They had food pantries and things that were going on over there, things that they were doing for patients that was totally opposite of how the media was portraying all of our HIV and AIDS patients during the time. And I just love the concept. I love the idea of it. I said, I'd love to come work over here. So August 13th, 1988, I'm sorry, January 11th. Yeah, August 13th, 1988, I started over at the clinic and I stayed there for 25 years. Worked my way up and became coordinator of the HIV testing and counseling facility that was there. And we also ran an HIV testing program in our emergency room for the 5 years. Stayed there for 25 years. Then I saw another opportunity and I left the hospital. I left the HIV clinic and went over to the hospital to the position that I'm in now as manager of outpatient laboratory services here at Jersey Shore, which I do enjoy the job, but it's very stressful and very challenging. Now, yesterday was a crazy day because it was the end of the year, and like all hospitals, you have certain things that the hospitals have to maintain for inspection and all those other things. In this case, CAP. We have a whole bunch of assignments that have to be completed. Somewhere along the way, we had a partnership with Quest Diagnostics. So our lab got outsourced to Quest. So we have assignments. Quest does the same thing. You have to have a certain amount of assignments done at the end of the year. For Jersey Shore, HMH, Hackensack Meridian Health, you have to have a set of assignments done. And then within the lab, there's a set of assignments that have to be done. So I'm trying to cram all of these things in and get them done, because when you're running a facility and you're a manager, you have so many personalities that you're dealing with. You're being pulled away from your desk all the time for every little thing, and you really don't have time to focus on getting those assignments done. Yeah, managers have to do the assignments too. Believe that. So I stayed until 7 o'clock, 7:30 to get those assignments done, but I eventually got them all done. Dealing with the different attitudes that you have to deal with on a daily basis. I had to deal with some of that yesterday. And being a manager is one of the most thankless jobs you can possibly have, because you have to take on so much. You have to be responsible for so much. And nobody's going to feel sorry for you as the manager. You're put in the position to run the department. So you got to sit here and be able to manage what you're responsible for. Then you got to sit here and manage everyone else's personalities, everyone else's problems, and still try and keep your sanity every day. I mean, there are days where you just literally want to jump off the top of the building. Then there are days that are so rewarding. But yesterday was one of those days where I just wanted to just run into a wall or something, because it just seems like one thing after the next. You got team members coming at you with attitude because, you have your email that's attached to your job that everyone has. All year long, you tell your team, this assignment is due. Make sure you're doing your assignments for Quest. Make sure you're doing your assignments for HMH. Make sure you're doing your assignments for Media Lab, My Learning, so forth and so on. Now, you do this all year. Now, managers know that you're not going to always get everybody to do what they're supposed to do. So I've gotten in the mindset, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, I've gotten in the mindset where I just refuse now to worry about it. As long as I've put the information out there, as long as my managers are putting the information out there on their YouTube, on their email pages, and I'm talking about them in our meetings that we have at the end of the workday and during huddles. Don't come at me at the last minute and tell me how I didn't know about this, or this is not working, or I don't recall that we used to have to do this. We have to do one per quest. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? So I said, you guys have to get this stuff done at the end of the day, or come January 1, when you come back to work January 2nd, you won't have access to get onto the system. And in some cases, you'll even get suspended, depending on the job. Sometimes you'll get suspended if you don't meet your deadline and do those assignments and things like that. That could lead to a termination. So everybody was busting their butt getting stuff done, and I got one person coming in my office with an attitude because I basically kept saying to them, you know, it's not like you didn't know. I've been telling you all this for at least 6 months out of the at least 6 months straight. This is coming. Get it done. So, being that this is my first piece of content that I'm downloading, my goal is to educate, to inspire, to grow my channel. Putting content on every day. It's going to be raw. I'm not going to do a lot of editing and all that other stuff because I'm here now. You really don't need to do all of that. So I'm just going to keep it as real as possible. I'm a real person just like the next person. So my goal is to be inspiring to someone else, like Dante London was inspiring to me when I saw him this morning as a normal person struggling. So like, subscribe, and I will be downloading more content tomorrow. This is the first one. I'll get better at it. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Meet you at the top.